Sonic R was a game released for the Sega Saturn in 1997. While the game is a bit weird for its time, it was pretty revolutionary at the time due to the fact that it inspired other Sonic racing games, like Sonic Riders for example. When the game released, it had a pretty mixed perception, but over the years now, its perception has started to get worse and worse. And today, I wanted to see, why do people actually think this, and is the game as bad as people are saying it is? First, I want to cover over the basics of the game, like the controls and how the game works. Basically, you get the option to pick as 4 characters, with multiple unlockables. And your main objective is to, well, fucking race, I guess. It's a racing game, what else do you think you're gonna do? Fucking eat popcorn? Now, unfortunately, while the game is amazing in the character department, it lacks a lot in the stage department, having a total of, 5 stages, with 1 unlockable. And that 1 unlockable is the one that you get when you get all the emeralds. Yeah, so basically, in the base game, you only get 4. Unless if you want to even unlock the last one. Now, I'm gonna just say real quick that having Sonic as a racing game seems like a pretty easy and pretty cool idea at first. Sonic is fast, and obviously, translating that into a racing game would be pretty easy and pretty cool. Or so you think. Well, you know like how in Sonic games you hold left or right to move and you go super fast? Well, in this game, instead of pressing A or B to accelerate, you press forward. Now you may be asking, how do you steer? It has to be left or right, right? Well, no. You have to use the analog triggers to even steer. Now, obviously, this is pretty weird to certain people, and I obviously really understand that. Because in most racing games, you press left or right to steer. I mean, let me just put this into perspective here. Here's what a few racing games look like, even at the time.
Now, when you buy the Sega Genesis that comes with Sonic 1, you'll get Sonic 2 absolutely free. Sonic 2 handles stubborn stains, embarrassing bald spots, no problem. It even slices and dices, makes thousands of julienne fries. But wait, you can play it too. This free Sonic 2 is a $54.99 value. You get 2 Sonics for the price of 1. Sonic 2 fits easily into any...
Now, do I really blame them for the odd proportions of features? No, because this game, like Sonic the Fighters, had a 6 to 8 month development period. Now, this is bad for a few reasons. To put this into perspective, the Sega Saturn was going to need a Sonic title for its holiday exclusive. So obviously, Sega was going to take full advantage of that and use Traveler's Tales to make a Sonic game. Because at the time, the normal Sonic team wanted to take a break from Sonic to develop more things like Nights in the Dreams for example. And while we didn't really get a normal Sonic game, we did try to get Sonic Extreme, but things didn't turn out for that, did it? Now, I think they would have done way more tracks if it wasn't for the limit. Even in the beta development stages of the game, there was only 1 stage done, and it took a really long time to get all these stages done, specifically because of how they work. Because in this game, instead of you being limited to 1 track, you have many different routes, and I mean like many different routes. So obviously the developers had to think and make plenty of different routes to make sure that each and every single route was at least, usable and wasn't actually somewhat useless. So I think what the game developers were thinking is that if we had less tracks, but more ways to experiment with these tracks, it would feel like the game has more to offer. Which, I mean, I could kind of see with that philosophy, but I don't think it actually ended up working well in concept, because the game starts feeling dry pretty quick, and you might think that the multiplayer mode will be, really good, because, in most racing games, that's usually the star of the show right there, but normally, In this game, it's not the case. So in conclusion, Sonic R is a bit of a mediocre game in general. While I do really enjoy this game, I understand why a whole lot of people don't like it. Its controls and physics are weird, and in general, this game just doesn't have much to offer. If you want to play this game now, you're more able to play it on PC, or even on the Saturn if you're a fucking freak. However, you want to know what this game is also on? There was also a fan game on Roblox called Sonic R Recharged that is basically a continuation of Sonic R that fixes a few things. Now, I'm not going to show much gameplay of this version. It's not exactly Sonic R, but I thought I'd just throw it in here because it's technically Sonic R, but it's also not Sonic R at the same time. So to round everything all up, the reason why Sonic R failed was because of its rushed deadline and a whole lot of other stuff holding it back. While the game was revolutionary for its time, I don't think that game has really aged too well. I'd say if you're a fan of weird and awkward racing games, I'd recommend you give this game a try. But if you're just a normal racing game fan and aren't that interested in Sonic, I'd recommend you stay away from this one.